Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time coming here, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be filming for you guys a first-time parent slash twin parent slash parenting in general Q&A for you guys. I asked you guys both here on YouTube and over on my Instagram for questions about any of those topics and headlines I just shared, and I actually got a lot of great questions from you guys, and I'm super excited to jump right into it. If this is your first time, the first video you've ever come across of mine, I am 23 years old. I am a first-time parent to twin boys, twin boys that are just over 15 months now. So that's a little bit of background information for you. I will link all my other Q&As, pregnancy, parenting, everything like that up here in a playlist for you guys to check out, so that if you have other questions about me and my boys or anything like that, you can head over and check all of those out. But I don't want this video to be too long, and like I said, I have a lot of great questions, so we're going to just jump right into it. I'm going to start with the questions I got over on Instagram, and then I'll go into the ones that I got over here on YouTube. So the first bunch of questions I got asked, what you wish you knew before becoming a first-time parent to twins. Now, that's a very loaded question. I can sit here and probably talk about this topic for ever, all the things I wish I knew going into being a twin parent, which I can actually do a whole video on that if that's something that you guys would be interested in. But I would say the short answer is really genuinely how draining it is. And I don't mean that in a negative way. The word draining can be super negative, but I mean just how much goes into it. I wish I knew. I think that when you find out that you're pregnant, let alone pregnant with twins, you're so wrapped up in the excitement of what is to come that you don't really sit deeply and think about how draining it's going to be, especially that first year of their lives. And I'm definitely one that didn't really take into consideration just how draining and hard it was going to be. Of course, I didn't know the pandemic was coming our way. And so that made everything, I think, 10 times harder than it probably would have been, or 10 times as isolating and lonely. That's a big thing. But I wish I knew just how much was going to go into it, how much planning, how much prepping, how important a routine is, especially for twins. I preach a routine for parents of multiples. I think that is what is our saving grace, is a nice routine and schedule. But I definitely think that I went into being a first-time mom of twins having done a lot of research and following a lot of twin moms here on YouTube and on other platforms. So I got a glimpse into what twin life really was like, but again, I never lived it myself. And then becoming a twin mom, I learned very quickly that it is a draining, selfless job. It is an amazing job, but I wish I would have mentally prepared myself more for like how different it is than having one. I don't think a lot of people understand when they have one, just how different multiples really are. A lot of the things that I like complain about, like not really complain, but I like tell my other mom friends about things that I'm struggling with, like with the boys or anything like that. They never truly understand the gravity of it, because a lot of the times the things that are hard with two are not hard at all with one. Like getting out of the house is not as hard if you have one, and like doing things around the house and just things like that. So the short answer is I wish I knew how much time and effort and work and how draining it would be to have twins. Now, with all that said, I would not change it for the world. I want to get that straight, but it is a really hard job. I also want to throw into that really quickly with, you know, how draining everything could be. I wish I knew just how important help was. I, in the beginning, didn't really want to get help from family members and friends or anything like that. I wanted to really do it on my own to prove that I could do it on my own, which you don't have to prove your parenting to anyone. But I wish I knew just how important help is, because looking back now, I definitely wish I asked for help a lot more in the beginning. Of course, we did have the pandemic, so family and friends couldn't come over during that strict quarantine shutdown. But now I'm definitely more willing to ask for help, which I think is a big thing. So if you have help available to you, don't take it for granted. Ask for help. Next question I got was, what was your first month's bath routine because of the umbilical cord? I genuinely don't remember bathing the boys for the first 2 weeks of their lives. I think their umbilical stumps fell off at 2 weeks old, and that is when we gave them their first real bath. For the first 2 weeks, we really just did like a damp washcloth rub down. Babies don't really get that dirty the first few weeks of their lives because they're just sitting there sleeping. They do kind of smell a little because of the breast milk, or if you're giving your baby formula, that gets on their face and under their neck, that we had to like wipe up, and of course their private parts we wiped up. But for the first 2 weeks, it was really simple sponge baths. And then for the time after that, once their umbilical stump did fall off, we did use, I will link everything I talk about because I'm going to be referencing a few things throughout this video. But we used, I believe it was from Skip Hop, maybe, I'm not sure, but it was like a little bathtub that went in your own bathtub. We never bathed the boys in the sink in one of those like contraptions. We used one 4-hour tub and they just laid in it, and we bathed them one at a time until I think they were like 8+ months old. We were bathing them one at a time just because that was what was easiest, and we would just fill the bath up a little bit, rinse them down, soap them down, clean them up. But when they had the umbilical stumps, just a little wash down with like a damp washcloth. Next question is, how much time do you give with screens? And then also going with that, are electrical devices or gadgets safe for babies? Now, this is a very controversial topic, screen time. A lot of parents out there don't believe in it or don't, give it to their kids. As for me, my boys do watch TV. For me, it's easier just to have one of their shows playing in the background while they play to help keep them entertained. With having twins especially, you will do anything to get that 2 seconds of peace and quiet, and if it's a TV show, it's a TV show for me. As for like electronic gadgets like iPads and my cell phone, the boys don't have iPads and they never get my cell phone. They know that that's mommy's and they are not supposed to touch it. One of the big reasons is I don't want them breaking it. I use it to film, but another reason is I don't want them to get addicted to it. You see so many kids out at restaurants or functions or anything like that, and the mom or dad just throws the cell phone at the baby to watch videos on. Our boys don't get those kind of gadgets. They do watch TV when we're home, like I said, and it's basically on all day. I don't really care. I don't have anything that I want to watch during the day. I watch what I want to watch by myself during their naps so that I can focus on it. So they do get TV all throughout the day, but if we go to Harris's parents' house or my grandma's house or out for the day and there's no television, it's not like they get super upset or whine or cry for it. So I think that's just something that depends on the parent and your beliefs in it, but for us, TV's okay. Other gadgets, our boys just don't get. So the next question I have is, do you have plans for when you'd like to add to your family? And this is a very flip-floppy question. If you asked Harris the same thing, I'm sure he would say a different time. And even for me, I go back and forth. I actually wrote in a twin parent Facebook group that I'm in when they felt like the right time to have a second, or I guess third baby. Because I believe when you have one child, like I said, it's not as difficult and as draining as having two. And so a lot of the times people are a lot quicker to add to their families. I believe like a great gap for anybody, even for Harris and I, before we found out we were having twins and when we talked about having a family, 2 years to me is a great gap in between kids. So a lot of the times when people would ask me this, I would say I want my kids to be 2 years apart. But now that I have twins, I think my answer has changed. I do want my kids to be close in age just because I feel like that helps increase their bond. I know for me, my brother and I are 5 years apart and we don't really have like too much in common. I think just because we have such a large age gap, and then my sister and I are obviously closer, and Harris and his sister are only 2 years apart and they're pretty close. So for me, I always wanted to be on the closer end of things, but now that we have two, and a lot of the people that I asked on Facebook also felt the same way, that they were more open to waiting longer just because they have the two. And especially for me, I want to make sure that the boys are very self-sufficient, are walking, are, able to take care of themselves in entirety, basically feed themselves, are potty trained, are all of that stuff before I go ahead and have another one, so that it's not triple as hard. So I think that for us, I would really like to start trying for another one around 3 years when the boys are 3 years old. So then we would have it, while the boys are like 3.5, 4-ish. By that time, they'll be in nursery school and they'll be a lot more independent and self-sufficient. So for me, in the next like year and a half, I would like to try, but of course, Harris does think that he wants to wait a little longer, so that's a conversation that we'll have to have, but we know we want to add to our family in the future. My next question is, how did you get your twins to sleep through the night? I actually have talked about this in a bunch of other videos. I'll try and link a bunch of them up there for you guys. But we did a combination of the Taking Care of Babies newborn sleep class, which teaches you to help your child learn how to fall asleep independently. And for us, that meant practicing one nap in their crib or their nursery. I believe we began that around like 10, 11 weeks. We swaddled our boys, we used a sound machine, we kept the room dark. Those are all things that help teach your baby to fall asleep independently. We followed age-specific wake windows, which I can link a little list of those down below for you guys. We also followed the eat, awake, sleep little schedule where the boys would eat, they'd be awake for whatever their age-appropriate wake window would be, and then they would go down for a nap. We had a pretty strict and set night routine from very early on that I believe helps your children cue into that nighttime sleep to sleep through the night. And then once the boys showed us that they could sleep through the night in our room and that they were capable of doing so, when we moved them to their room, we did have to do one night of the cry it out for both of them. And after that, they basically slept through the night. Of course, they do wake up here or there, but we never really have to go in and intervene. We actually had to go in and intervene a few days ago just because the boys have a cold. That's usually the only time we'll go in and intervene, like if they cry and need us. But most nights, if they wake up in the middle of the night, they kind of just roll around, they play with their blankie and their binky in there. So I think I did a whole video on this actually, so I will link that up there for you guys to check out. But basically, Taking Care of Babies newborn sleep class and one night of cry it out. Next question, what was the most exciting part versus the most worrisome part about finding out that you were having twins? I think the most exciting part is just like the adventure that lies ahead, saying, you know, I'm pregnant with twins. It's always such a like catchy thing to people. People think it's super interesting, and so like being able to say I was going to be a mom of twins was super exciting. And like I said, the adventure that was going to lie ahead, I was super excited for that. I'm sorry if the angle changed. I had to check on the camera really quick. The boys are in for a nap, and like I mentioned, they have a little bit of cold and someone was making noise, so I had to check that. But back to what I was saying, the most exciting part I think was saying that I was going to have twins and being excited for the adventure and like what was to come. It was super exciting and still is super exciting to see them grow, see their bond grow, see them develop and learn new things. All of that I was so excited for when I found out I was having twins. Now, the most worrisome thing for me was the unknown. No one in my family had twins. No one I knew personally had twins. So no one could really give me advice on what it was going to be like. And there was a lot of unknown to come about being a first-time parent in general, and of course a first-time parent of twins. Harris and I were of course super nervous for the journey that was ahead, but like I said, I was really excited for it for the most part. And I don't think my nerves really set in until they were here, and like I said, I realized how much work was going to go into it, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I am still super excited and happy to be a twin mom. It is such an awesome thing being a parent of multiples, and it's an amazing thing to share. And I'm really glad that I have this platform here to share my experience with you guys, because when I was pregnant with twins, especially since I was really young, I was 21, it was important for me to find somebody that I looked up to that was a twin parent, and someone that I could model my parenting after and look to for advice or examples. And I'm really glad that I have this platform to do that for you guys, to help you with your journey if you are a first-time parent in general, but of course a first-time parent of twins. So the most exciting thing was the adventure that was ahead, and the most worrisome thing was the unknown that was ahead. Heading over to the questions I got over here on YouTube. First one being, of course, were you nervous about your pregnancy? And overall, my pregnancy in general, not talking about what was to come, my pregnancy, I wasn't really nervous about. If you asked anybody in my life, I said since I was young that I wanted to be a mom. And to me, pregnancy is such an amazing, beautiful thing that I wasn't really nervous about what was going to happen to my body and being pregnant in general. Of course, you have those nerves in the first few weeks of your pregnancy. You want to make it to the first trimester. And especially for me, since I had twins, I really wanted to be safe and make sure that they were going to make it. And of course, doing all like the testing. Everybody wants their baby to be healthy, and so that's nerve-wracking. But overall, for what was happening inside of me, I wasn't really nervous. I was never really nervous about labor and delivery. I was actually super excited for it. And I go back and watch my labor and delivery vlog all the time, and it gets me like amped up to do it again. I loved delivering my boys. Harris, on the other hand, was a lot more nervous than I was. He, of course, thought about all the little things that could go wrong, just because that's his like anxiety and things that he worries about. So he was a lot more nervous and wanted to make sure I was healthy and the boys were healthy. But in my day-to-day life during my pregnancy, I never really thought about those worrisome things or was really nervous about, you know, my body and the babies inside of me. Next question, would you be excited if there was another set of twins? I wouldn't use the word excited. I wouldn't be scared if we had twins again. I think just because it's all we know. Harris and I have only ever had twins, and so it's all we know, that if I got pregnant with twins again, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal. Of course, I'd be like, this again, because like I said, it is draining and it is tiring and it is really hard, but it is like the most worthwhile thing in the world. So I wouldn't be excited. I would more so be, you know, ready and prepared for it. And if it happens again, I think I'd be more shocked than anything, because when I got pregnant with the boys, it was completely spontaneous. We didn't use any fertility medication or methods or anything like that. It was completely natural. So I think I'd be really shocked. I think I would be happy. I think I would be ready. I think I'd be prepared. I don't think I'd be excited though, because like I said, it is a hard job. Next question, how to not be scared to become a mother? I want to be a good mom, and does the loving feeling to a child come naturally? For me, the bond to the boys was more strong after I had them. I, of course, was bonded to them when they were in me, but I think I was so busy. I was in school, we were moving, that I didn't have like a super strong connection to them. When they did come out, I was immediately in love with them, and that's not the case for everybody, and that's completely okay. If you don't feel that super close connection to your baby the second that they come out of you, don't worry. Sometimes it takes like a longer time for people to feel that connection. So if you don't feel that right away, don't be hard on yourself. But for me, I did. And I think to not be scared, one, educate yourself, read a lot of, you know, literature about being a parent, read like what to expect, find people to, you know, do research on, if that makes sense. Like for me, I found a lot of people on YouTube that were having twins, so I could watch their life and see how they were preparing for their babies. I think a key thing is to be confident in your ability to be a mother to that baby or babies that you are having. I think having that confidence in yourself is really important, and, you know, not having self-doubt is really important for you to feel strong in your ways to be a parent. I think you need to, you know, just try and prepare yourself the best you can for what lies ahead. Of course, there is a lot of unknown, but preparing yourself, reading up on it, you know, asking for advice, ask family members, ask just a lot of things, ask a lot of questions, and really trust your gut. And just know that you are the best mother for that baby, because that baby is yours. Next question, wondering if you breastfed your twins. Yes, I did. I've talked about this a bunch. I did breastfeed the boys for about 12 weeks, and then my supply started to not sustain itself for the boys. That was an experience in and of itself, breastfeeding the boys. It was a lot of work. I absolutely loved it, and I do wish I was able to do it longer. And I'm really excited that if my next pregnancy is one baby, to go through the journey of breastfeeding again and be able to hopefully do it longer and put more into it. I think because I was a first-time mom and a first-time mom to twins, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and we had the pandemic going on, and I didn't have a lot of help around me. I think all of that contributed to how hard breastfeeding was. But if I have one baby next time, of course, if I have twins again, I'm going to do it again. But if I have one baby next time, I definitely am super excited to jump back into the journey of breastfeeding and really give it my all. It was hard, like I said, to give it my all this time, but I did breastfeed the boys, and I think we made it like 12 weeks. Next question, how did you manage spending time for yourself and for the babies? For me, this was really hard in the beginning, and it is still hard. Of course, we had the pandemic, and so with that, I wasn't able to get out all that much in general, let alone get out for myself and get a babysitter for the boys. So for a long time there, I wasn't getting out, and I wasn't really having a lot of me time out of the house. But for me, something that's really important is, you know, spending my time without the boys, like during their naps, doing something for myself, whether it be a shower, skincare, watching a TV show I want, making myself a lunch that I want, really spending that time alone doing something for myself. That's really important. On the weekends, I do get out one day a week. Harris watches the boys, and I go out and I just do anything for myself, get myself food, get my nails done, go to Target, peruse. anything like that. I think the most important thing for spending time by yourself is scheduling it and having that day to look forward to. I know for me, every Saturday I look forward to getting out of the house because that's my me time. And every week, if I'm having like a bad Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, I just say to myself, Saturday, you're gonna get out, you're gonna be able to take a deep breath and just have some time for yourself. So I think it's really important to schedule it and tell your partner, hey, this day, this week, I wanna go out and do this for myself, so that they can understand how important it is. And as for spending time with your partner, again, I think that's an important thing to schedule. I know for Harris and I, if we say like, do you want to watch a movie tonight on that day, it doesn't really wind up happening because we're so tired. But if we schedule it like, hey, on Wednesday we're gonna watch a movie together, or hey, on Thursday we're gonna go out to dinner and get your mom here, it is again something to look forward to. So I think it's important to schedule your you time, your couple time away from your babies, because you need to make sure that your love tank and your mental health tank is full in order to take care of your babies. Last question I have for you guys is, what was the most difficult thing about becoming a parent? And I don't want this to sound bad. I feel like a lot of the things that I'm saying that are hard sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I just really am trying to answer these questions honestly. And for me, the most difficult thing about becoming a parent was the selflessness that goes into it. Like I just mentioned, it's very easy to go weeks without spending some me time, and that gets to be really hard. You're no longer living your life just for yourself, where you can do whatever you want whenever you want. You're living your life to take care of your children. And so it's a very selfless job, and at times that can be really draining. It is easy to lose yourself and forget about who you were before all of this. I know sometimes I need to like put myself in check and remember who I am as Jennifer. Aside from being a twin mom, I know a lot of the times you like lose yourself in the identity of being a mom, and you forget that you have your own independent identity. And with that selflessness, it's easy to forget to take care of yourself because you're putting your all into taking care of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little babies. And so the most difficult thing for me is the like selflessness of the job. And sometimes I want to be selfish and I want 10 minutes to myself, and I have to like put the boys in their room and like sit there for a second and get my peace and quiet, because it's a very selfless job. It's a hard job. It's such a rewarding, worthwhile job, but it is very difficult to like hold true to yourself and remember who you are when all day long you're doing stuff for someone else and forgetting to do something for yourself. All right, guys, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this Q&A. I feel like it was a little bit all over the place. I feel like I couldn't really get my thoughts out properly just because the boys are sick, like I mentioned, and I keep getting notifications on my phone if they're making noise in their room. So I'm sorry if this Q&A was all over the place, but a lot of these questions I feel like were deep, and I hope it helped you hearing what I had to say about these things of, you know, the journey of being a parent, a twin parent, a first-time parent, all that kind of stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if you did. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.